Well, I did a yard renovation here. I want to say it's been a solid 2 years ago. And one of the questions I had were, should I do the entire yard? And if I do the entire yard, how am I going to know that the money that I spent on the more expensive cultivars of grass was worth it? Well, right now, looking at things, I would say that I can tell you that definitively the area, which is right here, that I actually burned everything off. You remember I mowed that down. I took Roundup, killed that off. Unfortunately, I still have some Bermuda over there by the fence, but I kept it just to this area here. And I did that mainly because I kind of wanted a test plot. I almost now am thinking maybe I'll just do some rye one spot, Kentucky bluegrass in another spot. But right now, this right here is the tall turf type fescue that GCI Turf Services sells, and it's a mixture of 3 different cultivars. I know one of them is Falcon. I can't remember the other 2, but I will tell you this: it's superior. So if we take a look at it here, you can see a distinct sort of line along this ridge where it goes from more of a dark green down here, and the yellow that you can see in here is POA that I was just trying to rake out. But up here on top of this ridge, it's not bad. But once I get right back into here, some of these spots here, and I know this is really difficult to see on camera, the darker spots, okay, are the actual plants from the new turf variety. And the reason that I know that, so for example, I can take a look at this plant right here, maybe a little bit difficult to see, but here's the line. If I divide that between them, it is a clumping grass, so there's still, this space in between. Excessive tillering, that means that this right here, if I work my hands all the way around it, is one plant. That right there is one plant. And as that spreads out, it's also got this deep blue color in it that is very distinct from the other turf. And now this is a softer variety. The other variety that I noticed that started showing up in my lawn, if I can find one right here, I can feel them. They have these tillers that are a little bit more woody. Okay, they're a little bit, not a broad leaf on them, but I've noticed these. So for example, this is another, that's one plant there as well. So suffice to say that this has been fantastic. This took a full year to fill in, but now it is far more dense than anything else I've got. I was concerned that maybe this giant pergola up here would shade some of this off. Not true at all. In fact, this area gets way more sun and looks way worse. I've also got water hitting these every 2 to 3 days for quite a while. And you can see that even up here, this is the old turf. Not nearly as vigorous. Like the plant bunches are much smaller. Like that's one plant right there. And then there's just a lot more open space. And they have not, that's the one thing that I would say the biggest difference between the turf varieties is how vigorous spreading, and they call it tillering, but how vigorous the new stuff is. And I can just see down here, I hope the camera can pick this up, got this dark spot down here. That's where more of it is taken. Up above here, there's some older varieties where I have some other issues on this side where I've got some drainage issues. But you can see, not quite as much. I got a big, look at that. It's all one plant. But in between there, we've got a lot of open dead space. And that is because this side gets a lot of water. So we'll have standing water down in here. But whatever this variety is here, I don't know how it does with traffic. Oh, here's another one of those plants. So for example, I can see the difference, and I think you can too, there on the camera, just by virtue of the color. This is a dark green. You can see it stands out from the rest of that. That's got that dark bluish green again. If I back out a little bit, you can see right there and right there. Those are two different plants. So even when I'm overseeding every fall, you can just see the difference with what is actually keeping or what is actually growing from year to year to year. Another interesting thing that I've been working on here is this is a hillside. It used to be all pine straw that would come down here. And I just thought that's more of an eyesore than it is anything. And so I took a couple different cultivars and planted those in pots, and I started those in a couple different spots here. You can see this is a fine fescue over here, and these are some of that GCI turf tall fescue over here that I've let go. I haven't cut this thing in an entire year. Very interested to see what the root development is with this group as it continues to progress. But you can see the finer fescues here almost have a thin, wispy. These are a little bit more shade tolerant varieties versus if we move over here to this side, that should be a familiar looking plant there, but you can see much broader leaves. And those things are starting to head out. They look pretty good, and I mean it's holding a little bit more moisture on the hillside there. So we haven't had any rain in probably 3 or 4 weeks. It's been super dry. I've been pushing a lot of water over the last few days just to kind of catch up and get the lawn going again. The backyard probably is the roughest looking at all lawn. If you look out here, you can see a difference with my front lawn. Gets a lot more attention than the back lawn. It's also just a little bit easier to water. But you can see some of the stripes are even holding. Looks pretty good there. And this continues to fill in as well. So I just wanted to talk about the differences that I saw in the actual cultivars. You know, whether or not I'm buying the stuff that's at Home Depot. It's not bad per se, but I will tell you this, it's not as good as what you can get when you get a specialty cultivar. So really think about that when you go to buy yourself some seed. For me, spending an extra $20 made a huge difference in how all this looks. I mean, you can see in this side yard here, pretty dark green, nice and thick. This is finally filling in here. And over here, this edge here, I had a difficult time getting this to establish, but that is legitimately the thickest grass around here. And it's really, really, really tolerant of wear. So super excited about this. If I could get the rabbits to stop eating my flowers, we would be good to go. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Have a great day.